Hi, this is Damien re AtHope, and I am an Axiological Atheist. And I'm here with Winter. Hi, Winter. Could you go ahead and tell us your name and tell us what kind of atheist you are?
My name is Winter Broadfoot Hart. I am a logical atheist, looking into the axiological atheism. That sounds about right.
Right on. So, were you always an atheist, or were you raised a believer? And can you tell us about that started?
Well, we were brainwashed with Christianity. I always had questions. I always doubted, and I always thought, stuff didn't add up. None of it was logical. But in terms of being, full-on atheism, that's probably about 3 years ago. And I'm 34 now, so.
Okay. So when you said indoctrinated Christian, is that what you said?
Christian.
So why do you phrase it like that? Could you explain to us?
Well, it was indoctrination. It was forced. The church, specifically the Catholic Church, had this idea that they had to save us Native Americans from the same plight as our ancestors, which, of course, is complete garbage because that doesn't add up.
And could you tell us what kind of Native American you are and what was the original faith?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm mostly Cree. There's also Chippewa and, of course, a bit of Inuit. Okay. So in terms of traditional, there's, well, can't really call it a god or anything, but you could say a creator, an energy force maybe, but nothing where this person's going to spend eternity being tortured, and this person's going to spend eternity, getting a lot of fun or anything like that.
So do you guys have did the did they have a creation story?
No, not really. I mean, the creation story is that a woman was created first, and then the man was created afterwards.
Okay. That definitely probably changes perspective between the genders, I would imagine, in the Cree thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain that?
Because the Christians thought it was so backwards because Christians think it should be through the male only, and property and inheritances and stuff like that. When actually Crees, everything was passed on through the woman. But right now, I say it doesn't matter. It could be men or women.
Interesting. So that must have been a real change in the thinking. So, how devout was your childhood with your parents, or how was the influence?
Well, yeah, on the reservation, we were heavily influenced by the religion. That's still going on right now. A lot of Christians just assumed, because my father's a medicine man, so they assumed that we worship the devil, or that we worship trees, nature and stuff like that. And it's just like, well, there was no devil until you brought that concept over, so how can you worship something that doesn't exist? So, just the logic in that didn't make any sense.
Could you explain his viewpoint or your viewpoint of medicine men for people that don't understand the concept?
Well, the whole thing with medicine man is a traditional healer. I mean, my father, he supports the traditional medicine and Western medicine. I mean, he's not going to tell you to only do this or to only do that. He's like, you know what, you can incorporate both if you want, or just one. It's not about, oh, you have to do this or anything like that. Yeah, there was no concept of any devil whatsoever, so I don't know where they got that idea from. But, I guess if you don't worship God, then automatically, by default, you worship the devil. Mm. So goes their logic. Kitty.
Yeah, my cat. Hello. So so when you were growing up, you said you were on the reservation?
Yeah, for the most part I was on the reservation, and even when we were in the city, and most of the foster homes that I was in were heavily influenced by Christianity, and it wasn't always, it usually wasn't a positive experience. And I didn't really have any positive experiences with Christians until I was about 15 or 16 years old.
Well, what happened then?
Well, when I was 16, I was too old to be in a foster home or a group home, so my social worker put me on independent living, and that way, I don't know, I guess I didn't have to answer to anybody, and I don't know, I've always done my own thing and been pretty independent. Yeah, just always questioning and searching and looking at things. I mean, it's not just Christianity that I'm rejecting, it's basically all of them.
Yeah, I had the same.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's any evidence, then.
I rejected all religions, all former religions, all pseudo history, all pseudoscience. I rejected everything. So,
Yeah.
But that's why I know. So I've had atheists say, "Well, if you just read the Bible, that'll turn you atheist." I'm like, it would turn you maybe anti-Christian.
Yeah.
I don't think it turns you atheist. I mean, I guess if you are a Christian, reading the Bible might, give you information to make you question it and then become not Christian. But it doesn't inherently mean, I mean, it's not, reading the Bible if you're a Hindu is not going to turn you an atheist if you don't believe in the Bible, It's not going to stop someone of Native American faith if they don't believe in the Bible anyways. Reading it would be like, yeah, okay, they really are assholes. It's not going to. So yeah, I think it's important to clarify that.
Although I heard from Mormons that they think or they believe that Jesus Christ came to the Americas and did spend time with the Native Americans. I don't know. That's what they say, and they I don't know. Some Mormon told me that we're actually descendants of some lost Jewish tribe, and that's what Native Americans really are.
Yes, I actually, I was a truck driver, and I took students that were Mormon from Salt Lake City, which my company was based out of. And they had this gigantic book. It was really huge. I was like, what is that? Book of Mormon's gigantic. He goes, oh, well, it's the Book of Mormon, the Pearl of Great Price, the history of how Mormonism started, or whatever, and then the Old Testament, or the Bible, the Christian Bible, whatever. King James, I think. Anyway, so if it's all in one big gigantic book. Anyway, so I go, well, let me look at it. If you think it's true, I want to look at it. And he's like, oh, well, we don't let people look at it. And so I go, come on, so let me look at it. If it's true, then you should want to show me. I mean, I should. So he gave it to me, and I started reading it like you talked about. I wanted to read the history because I don't know nothing about it really that much back then, so I wanted to learn a little bit. And I got to the part, like you said, about it says, that these, I think it was the Levites, I don't remember exactly, but, a tribe of priests of Israel came over in a boat. I think it was a guy and his son or something, and then basically supposedly made the Native American race or something. What? Oh, wait a minute. I'm like, you don't believe this, do you? Come on. You got to be kidding me. That's ludicrous. Mm-hmm. First off, I don't get it because no Native American is saying that. No Jewish person is agreeing with you. I mean, and the DNA doesn't match. It's
exactly.
Fabricated completely. That's complete and utter nonsense. So yeah, that is funny. But I think that once again, I think it just had to do with his own selfish gains because he left, the East Coast and went west, and he eventually got killed. But to have a faith where you try to get people out there in the West, on your side, like the Native American people, to help him against the Christians, like a common enemy. I can see where his logic was trying to come from, but it's totally wrong.
Yeah.
But so I wanted to know too, what was it like growing up with feeling that you had the religion impressed on you? Did that make you see or feel differently, or were you treated differently?
Yeah, we're always treated differently. Definitely treated less than every other group. I mean, of course, like there's like a certain group, the members of the broader society were treated the best, and then every other group that isn't white were next, and then the last was us that was treated the worst. But we were supposed to be grateful that we heathens were saved. And the colonization and the genocide and the smallpox and all of that was actually a good thing, and we should be grateful because it brought us to God.
And they actually said this to you?
Oh yeah, they actually told us this and said that we should be thankful, and if it wasn't for them, that I'd be going to hell and joining my ancestors because they didn't accept Jesus.
And so, and all this happened in Canada, correct? This is not. You're not talking about you in the United States.
No, this is Canada. I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Right, which a lot of people have the opinion that people in Canada are not very, influenced by religion compared to like the U.S. But it sounds like you were heavily influenced. Influenced
in a negative way. I mean, they would never treat another, they would never treat an Asian person that way or a black person that way, ever, here. But yeah, towards Native Americans, yeah, they do. They did, and they still do.
I just, it seems weird that that they're so strong on pushing Christianity up there, or you said Catholicism?
Yeah, Catholicism seems to be the biggest one. I mean, I personally wasn't in the Catholic Church. I mean, I've had friends that went there, but we had a lot of influence from like the Baptist Church and the United Church and I guess, Mennonites and stuff like that, because they came to the reservations to save us, and, we have to be forever grateful.
And so, they're allowed on the reservation, because can't the reservations say that people can't go on there, or do they?
I think now, yeah, it's just like, well, you're not the only ones that are going to be allowed on here too, because when I was living on the res 10 years ago, there was a small population of Muslims and a small population of Hindus because they're teachers. But in no way, shape, or form did they say anything or like nothing negative about us, and they never tried to impose any of their thinking on us at all. Nor did they, say, oh, you should be grateful that we're here and stuff like that. It's like not one Muslim ever did that. Well, not even in the city. Not one Muslim ever did that or said that.
So you were saying that they're teachers. So were they non-natives that were on there?
Oh yeah, the couple of teachers. There's one from India. There's this one math teacher who's from Eritrea, and then there's another family from Egypt.
Oh, so you're saying teachers? You're talking about for like school?
Yeah, high school.
Oh, all right. So high school on the
high and yeah.
Oh, I didn't know if someone was squatting. You said teacher.
Well, there's that too. It wasn't them.
But I thought you were referring to like a teacher as like people consider Muhammad a prophet or a teacher. I thought.
Oh, haha, no, I should have specified school teachers.
Yeah, if you said school teacher.
Doctors,
I thought you were saying a Hindu teacher. Well, they think their gurus are teachers, so.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. I was like, wow, they let Muslims just come and live on the reservation as long as they don't bother people. Since when can people just go on the reservation and it's just make a house? Or I thought that's sovereign land.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I was kidding. I was like, wow, that's like Wild West up there. It doesn't sound like the native people, like you said. They still don't have rights to their own land. So
that's still true.
Phil, it probably is still true. But I mean, so have any of them ever been kicked off or not allowed on the reservation, or is it just?
Yeah, there's been Christians who were kicked off the reserve and not allowed back ever, or any of their family members. Too bad it didn't happen sooner, especially with like the rapey priests and stuff like that.
Really?
So yeah, when somebody pointed out, I have a relative and they're half white, and then somebody pointed out that they look white, and it's like, well, yeah, they are. It's like, but her dad is this, and her mom is this, and like, well, her real dad was a rapist priest.
Wow.
It's like, that's why this person looks half white. That's why my other cousin is half black, because rapey priests.
Wow, that's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Not. Yeah.
Yeah. So, would you say that you were angry at because I know a lot of Christians, like I say, oh, atheists were angry, and that's why they, became atheists.
No, it's more like I was angry at what was allowed to go on, and you just slap, your imaginary friend behind it, and then it makes it okay, kind of thing. It's just like, well, that's not a good reason to, treat people a certain way and force people to do things, because this is what God wants. It's like, okay, well, which God?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's that their argument in that area is not good anyways, because if, like, say if you were angry at people being raped, I don't know, that's justified.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I hate cancer, but I don't hate people with cancer.
right, exactly. So, it sounds like a lot worse. Is it just like that, do you think, on the reservation, or is all Manitoba, or
Well, on my reservation, there's not so much anymore of the white Christians that are still there. Sadly, my uncle, my father's oldest brother, is an ordained United Church minister.
What's a United Church? I don't know what that is.
Well, United Church is, I guess in the U.S. would be what, Presbyterian? And the United Church is actually pretty, more open than, say, Catholics or whatever. I mean, there's priests who are out and they're gay. There's women in the priesthood. You can be trans, bi. They're not going to, hate you for it. It's like, well, that's the way God made you. Great. So, yeah, I guess it sums up the United Church a little bit in one way.
Well, yeah, I did. That's definitely, different and open. Yeah, I have a lot. I was raised evangelical and non-denominational, so I do understand Christian, but in the Bible. But some of the denomination stuff, like you said, Presbyterian, I don't really know what Presbyterians do. I don't really know that much about Catholics. I know a little bit, but not that much. Even Baptists and a lot of I don't really know that much. And then since I've been an atheist, most of my study has been about what happened before all these things.
Yes, before the Christian.
How did this all happen? So I can tell you a lot more about 10,000 years ago or 6,000 years ago, or 100,000 years ago than I can really about what happens, since the last 1,000 years.
Yeah.
But it's okay not to know everything. So hey. And that doesn't mean not knowing it all doesn't make it true.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what do you think about now that you've been an atheist? As when you started as you said 3 years ago, realize or come out as an atheist? Well, how did that work, and why did you do it then?
I just decided, I said, well, if there's any relevance, it should have showed itself by now. I mean, not necessarily just to me, but to somebody, and something verifiable and, I guess peer-reviewed, you could say. And just, if there is a God, there's nothing that makes me think it wants to be worshipped or it's deserving of worship, whatever deity, people claim.
Right.
And yeah, just losing friends and family members, and yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks because I thought certain people were true blue, but I was wrong.
Yeah, I experienced that too. When I came out as an atheist, I had friends, 30 years, friend. In fact, one of them was a mild Christian Catholic sort of, in between, and not even that religious. So it was really weird that that he'd not want to be my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Because wasn't that big of a. I thought he's Hispanic, and I thought it was more like which I think it kind of is, just cultural. Not really.
Christmas and Easter, and that's it.
Kind of cultural religious, and I don't even think Christmas and Easter. Just I'm a Christian, but doesn't really go to church or anything. But still was able to feel like he, once I didn't believe, he didn't want to be around me. And then I had another friend who's a Christian, but who I knew for about 30 years, but he when we were younger, he dabbled in being a Satanist. And I never unfriended him when I was a Christian back then.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
so weird that now I'm an atheist and he can't, be my friend. Plus, he told me, "Oh, I'm having all kinds of sex." I'm like, "Okay." And he's like, "No, it's not okay." I'm like, "Aren't you single? I mean, I'm doing that and I'm married, And he's like, "I am single. It's wrong." I'm like, yeah. Did you call me so I would agree with that, or like, you do know I'm sex positive, right? So like, I'm not gonna help you shame yourself for absolutely no reason. And because of that, he unfriended me. He stopped being my friend, and he also, I had another friend that said that they saw on my Facebook that I'm friends with a person who was transgender, and so they unfriended me because of that. He goes, "Are you gay?" I go,
Okay.
and I told him, would it matter if I was gay?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, are you?" I go, "Does it matter?" What the fuck does it matter? No. Does it matter if I was? Like, why? Like, I'm almost offended and want to be your friend anyway. It's just like, so you said you had people that changed when you changed.
Yeah.
Through the friends. Can you explain
Friends and people thinking that they're gonna pray for me and then I'll eventually see. It's just like, well, when you pray for someone, I'm sure that makes you feel great. I mean, that's as relevant as flipping off a blind person. Yeah, I feel great flipping the bird, but it doesn't affect them in any way, shape, or form because they can't see me flipping the bird. So, the relevance with them praying for me is, the same as that.
Did you come up with that? It's pretty funny.
No, I think I read that somewhere.
That is hilarious.
Something about, flipping off a blind person. Yeah.
Hilarious as hell. I've never heard of that.
Well, you can use that one too.
See, now I have a new one. It'll be mine, of course. I invented it. No, I won't do that. I'll say you invented
it. Sounds good.
The only problem about that is people that are atheists don't have faith, so usually they don't trust just anything someone says.
Exactly. Just because someone says it doesn't mean it's true.
That's right. So, even something we believe for ourselves. So, could you explain to us more, like how did that feel when they did that to you, when you felt they were true friends?
Well, I thought, well, even back when I was a Christian, I never, engaged in prayer or anything like that, because it's just like, why would I tell or ask God to change something if it's part of His plan? So I never, asked God to fix this or stop this or anything like that. So even as a Christian, I never found much relevance in prayer. Now even more so, it just makes sense that I was just talking to myself the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did they stay your friends, or did they just?
Most people have stayed my friends, but yeah, there's a few that just won't have anything to do with me, including family members. And I mean, like, friends. There's a variety of people, so it doesn't really bother me. But with my family, and it's just like you're just Stockholm syndrome, because this is what was beaten into us and raped into us, and this has nothing to do with free will. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know that when I was in AA, Alcoholics before I left that cult, I had a sponsor. His sponsor was Native American and a devout Christian. Carried a Bible all the time, and I told him I don't understand. He wouldn't celebrate Columbus Day, but he would worship the Bible. I go,
that doesn't make any sense.
I was a Christian, but I was like, even as a Christian, you do know what the Christians did to Native Americans, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're the burning, the torturing, the diseases, And the Columbus Day thing, because they were talking about Columbus Day, and they said, oh, they're having a Columbus Day sale at this store. And I said, oh, so if Columbus Day sale, does it mean I can just walk in and take whatever I want? I mean, is that what Columbus Day sale is?
That's fun.
I mean, this laptop, I didn't just walk in and take it. I paid for it.
Yeah, but a lot of people. Well, first off, what's funny too is Columbus didn't even discover America. So,
no, he didn't.
And you can't discover some place that the people are already living.
Yeah.
That's not discovering.
No.
Then there, it's already their homeland. Yeah, you didn't really discover it.
Yeah, exactly. So if anything, they discovered him lost at sea.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
But it's funny too is that America still keeps the lie that he discovered America, which he didn't do. And they say too that he sailed the seas in 1492 or whatever, because he supposedly thought that the Earth, or people thought the Earth was flat.
Flat, exactly.
Right, which doesn't make sense, because do you know that the first globe ever made was made in Germany?
Really?
Right, which is not a land you usually think of as a an ocean going peoples, although they can, the northern part can, but through, I think it's Denmark or whatever. But still, the fact that the first one was made, and it's so funny because the date the globe was made in Germany was 1492. Do you think it's a coincidence? And since they didn't have email, so or Facebook, so they already knew. It had to be somewhat common knowledge, even though they were making it for the Portuguese. The German person was making it for the Portuguese Navy, I think it was, or something. I can't remember exactly, but still, it was somewhat common knowledge, because I think Portugal and Spain, I mean, they're like right next to each other, or connected to each other, so it's not like they. I'm saying that they didn't know, and if it's being made in Germany, I mean, instead of Portugal, it's not like they're hiding this in secret.
Yeah.
It's just lies. So people, but well, we've always done it. That doesn't make it real, and doesn't make it true, or doesn't make it good or just. And that's like saying, well, we always had slavery, so hey,
yeah.
Stop it.
And slavery is okay in the Bible.
So yeah, it's people, and people don't like changing things that show that their beliefs are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is we need to when beliefs are wrong. Mm-hmm. So it must be different than to also be a Native American and a female in atheism. Would you say that you've experienced any difference, or do you feel like it's equal?
Well, with the whole atheism thing, I felt the equality. The Native American thing, I did feel the equality. There's no, we don't really care about gender and stuff like that, but it's the Christians that seem to.
Also, it's the religious doing.
Yeah, it's them. So it's just like, okay, well, this totally makes sense to what I was saying.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I've asked quite a few different people, and most people say that in my interviews that pretty much atheism is doing a good job at being inclusive and multicultural and stuff, which I think is absolutely awesome. I mean, it makes me proud to be part of the atheist movement, that we are that way.
Exactly.
So also, I know you're a bisexual or pansexual. Could you explain, when did that start? When did you know, and how did that affect your life?
Well, even as a Christian, people knew I was the bisexual, and well, the major consensus among Christians was that I am either a confused lesbian, or I'm just being greedy and I want both sexes, or I don't know, really stupid stuff. It's just like, huh? But for me, it was always what's between the ears, not what's between the legs. So even as a Christian, I tried pointing that out, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's still applicable now. It's just there's no deity to say I was made this way by this deity. It's like, no, that's just the way it is.
Do you feel any pushback about being bisexual or sexual in general in the atheist community?
No, not in the atheist community. Not in the Native American community.
Yeah.
Just the Christian community. But then, I always had marks against me in the Christian community anyways, because, being female, being Native American, being a bisexual, someone who believed in equality for everybody, not just a few people. So, yeah, so I was always the outcast, and, considered too radical and too left when, If I had kids, I'd want my daughter and my son to have the same rights and access to anything and everything. Not, just she can do this and only he can do this. That's garbage. I think anyone should be able to do whatever they want. In terms of school and work and stuff like that.
So what you're saying is, for you, your atheism hasn't changed any of that, or has it made it more, or?
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, maybe it just reaffirms that, there are people that can accept you, and I've found more acceptance in the atheist community. And the whole bisexual thing, I mean, that's not unusual in the Native American community because, two-spirited people were always revered.
Right.
And then that just all had to go into the closet once the Christians showed up. So, gone are the days when, a man is revered for living as a woman revered for living as a man, and, having both perspectives. I mean, that would be considered lucky because you have both perspectives.
Right.
You have male, you have female, all in one person. So rather than having two chiefs, a male chief and a female chief, you can have one two-spirited chief and call it a day. But, that all changed, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very glad that the atheist community, it really has changed me. I felt the right to hate people before, because Christian, my God hated you, I had the right to hate you.
Yeah.
And even though the saying, hate the sinner, not the sin, no, they hate people.
No, they hate people.
Or at least, I can't speak for all Christians, but certainly a lot of the people that I met were like that, and I certainly felt right to. I didn't separate the sin for the people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's definitely, been different for me being an atheist. It's gave me a much more of a humanistic approach, which is so funny because the Christians like to say, and some of the religious, if you don't have, their God, then you can't possibly be carrying a moral. No, actually, I became more.
I was going to say, yeah, I became more compassionate and more empathetic. I mean, I'm not saying that I wasn't before because I didn't really hate anybody kind of thing.
Right.
Because I thought, well, God made you this way, so, great, go with it. But now it's just like, nobody cares and nobody should care how a person is.
Yeah, I agree with that. Mm-hmm. It's good to have people like you in our community.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of some atheists being kicked out of soup kitchens because they found out they were an atheist that the soup kitchen I was at. There's a few Christians there that know me personally and know that I'm an atheist, but nobody shamed me, nobody kicked me out. I don't have to wear a scarlet A or anything like that. It's like, okay, well, we're all just here to prepare the food and make sure, these people can eat. That's what it's all about at the end of the day, and that's what it should be just about.
And so
every person needs to eat.
And have they made any comments about you being atheist and the fact that you care and stuff? I mean,
yeah, there are some people that assume that I'm part of that church group or I'm part of this religious group, and that's why I'm doing this charitable stuff. It's just like, no, I'm just here as an individual. I'm not here with any group, religious, political.
Right.
Even racial. It's just like, no, I'm just here. It's like, I mean, sometimes I don't feel like I'm doing very much, but somebody has to peel the potatoes and chop the carrots and put icing on the cake and stuff like that. So maybe I help out a little.
But you have helped. I think that just having the good attitude in general, but definitely I've done it too. I've gone to Mexico and I've helped out the homeless and stuff and helped out kids. I definitely think that, I don't think there's this thing that you can't help or you haven't helped. I think that...
Yeah, I mean, that there's not a switch that turns off and it's like, okay, now I can't be anything. I'm going to be a robot.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
And you're helping people right now. Because people are going to watch your video and they're going to connect with you or hear something or relate, and or able to see a different perspective. So you're helping right now. You're making a difference right now.
Cool.
And that's why it is important, we all of our voices matter, and I like hearing from other people because it helps me expand and it helps me share too, to be able to hear other people.
Yeah.
You're valuable.
Thanks.
And it's a good thing when we it's like I'm a pretty hardcore atheist. I'm really out there, but being an axiological atheist, I never forget why. Why am I doing that? Like, so I don't know why all atheists do things. I know why I do. I'm very harsh to religion because I want to remove its, stranglehold on humanity.
Yeah.
I think that humanity can't be free as long as a religion. Even the really watered down religion usually becomes part of the culture, becomes part of the norm, and most of them are inherently negative, or they have you believe in things that are not real. And then people don't get medical help, and people. I mean, it's in general, it's like saying, why would you like someone who comes in to do your store and do an investigation of what items you have, but only counts half of them?
Yeah.
You wouldn't hire that person again.
No.
So. Finding out the reality of life, is a real benefit, because then we can actually do real things like you're doing, helping people. Those are real things that we can do.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I have been told that I'm pretty harsh against religion, but I pointed out it's specifically Christianity because that's what I was indoctrinated with, and that was something. Christianity is what we were beaten with and stuff like that, and raped. So, I always point out, I said, well, actually, a Muslim never said this. Actually, a Satan worshiper never did this. That's just Christians. So that usually is a sore point with Christians, but it's always fun to shut them up.
Well, yeah, they like to think that they're only love.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why my family has disowned me, because it's only love, right? Yeah, I feel their love. It's warming my heart right now.
Feel the Christian love.
Yeah, but I think in general the reason why it's such a cognitive dissonance is they have a God that's so murdering and so hateful and so obviously evil, and then they have to call it a God of love.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. So it's just like, okay, well, God of love, exterminated the entire planet, and just one family was left to repopulate, and supposedly the original man and woman had sons, and I always called Cain and Abel the original motherfuckers. Because who else are they gonna repopulate with? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that didn't add up, and you can't say that's all loving and all knowing when it's obviously not true.
Yeah, it's not. I'm saying, so I can see where it's easy for a Christian to get confused at what love is. When love is to hate, obviously, or destroy. So I mean, it's hard to say that there's a place we're going to torch you forever for the smallest infraction in life, and yet I love you. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like a blink of an eye is this life, but eternity of torture, and yeah, no, that's not loving.
No, it's not loving. Like I said, that's why I know that I've gotten more loving, really, because of not having that. That was, to me, like I said, I can't speak for other people. I don't know how they can be Christians and still be loving. They just must be truly good people, or they're not following Christianity. Because I think it's funny that, like, oh, well, those people are fundamentalists. Oh, you mean they're following Christianity, the way the Bible says.
With T, yeah.
Although I don't think there's one true religion. All of them are basically all mixed together in pieces and constantly changing. I mean, Christianity, today is not the Christianity 50 years ago.
Yeah. Things get lost in translation. And
not the Christianity 100 years ago, not the same Christianity 200 years ago, or 300, or 500, or 1,000. I mean, yeah, it's just...
None of the above.
None of the above. So that's why, but I do believe in people's rights. So I definitely think that people should have the right to have religion. I'm not for. I hope that people stop using it.
To infringe things on everyone else.
Yeah, especially that.
Like, you can't, make my kid do this, or you can't make me do something because, this offends you that I'm not, 100% hetero or something like that. So.
Yeah. Well, that's what's good about being an atheist. We don't have those preconceived rules in general. Plus, most of us are more prone towards science, and science, doesn't look at homosexuality like it's some kind of an evil sin.
Yeah, no, it's just like, okay, some people are this, some people are this, some people are this. It's just
Yeah.
great. Go with it.
So, do you go to any atheist things on the? Is there like an atheist stuff involved in the reservation, or are you like?
Nothing would be too open on the reservation. The only thing that seems to be accepted is the Christianity part, and the Christians don't accept anything except for theirs. So they don't accept the traditional, if you want to go to a sweat lodge, it's like, oh, you shouldn't do that, and you can't do this and be a Christian, and stuff like that. And I always said, well, why the hell not? It's like, you can't be gay and have God. I'm like, well, why not? Or you can't be, this and have God. It's like, well, why not? So,
Right.
it's, the whole atheism thing. I mean, my dad knows I'm an atheist, and he's a
What did he
medicine.
say?
So.
What did your family say?
He just said he doesn't believe in the Christians' idea of God. He just says maybe it's just energy or time, and we don't actually know what any of this is. I said, yeah, I don't think anybody does. But there are groups of people who think that they're the only ones that have the answer, and they have the special insight that no one else has.
Right. So do you know any other Native Americans that, or not Native Americans, but Native peoples? Because I know you're in Canada. Native peoples of Canada that are atheists, or?
There are some that are atheists, but they're still in the closet about it. But most of them are still going with, I guess you could say, Pascal's wager with the whole Christianity thing. Yeah, Stockholm syndrome.
So would there be any, like you said, in the closet? Is there a reason to be in the closet, or is it just that they don't feel comfortable?
The reason to be in the closet is because the Christians would like to, I guess, still want to try and lynch you and burn you and stuff like that.
So when you say Christians, are you talking about on the reservation other Native American or Native peoples that are Christian, or outside?
No, white Christians.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm just
And
asking.
a lot of the Native American Christians, there are a lot of them that incorporate traditional and Christian, but it's only the white Christians that say you can't. And that's like, well, I think you can be whatever you want.
And then there's that much influence of the white Christians on the
Still, yeah, that's still. I mean, I'm the first generation to not be in that Indian residential school. My father, my grandmothers, aunties, uncles, everybody else, was all in those Christian residential schools, and that was a horrendous experience for all of them. I mean, you can't send someone to that school from ages 5 to 16 and then, coming out of there with education, level of grade 3 or grade 2, when, had very little to do with education, had to do all with indoctrination.
All with what?
Indoctrination.
Oh, indoctrination.
So it wasn't actually education per se. It's like, well, maybe you learned how to sign your name kind of thing, because my dad was saying they remember him, teachers telling him he's not going to do well in school, but he should at least learn how to sign his name so he can sign for his welfare checks and stuff like that. It's just like, wow.
You're kidding. That's insane.
Yeah, so just like horrible stuff like that.
Well, can you tell us what other kind of stuff? Because, I mean, there's a lot of people that
well, they, like, not to my dad specifically, but there were other boys that he was with that all had their noses broken the same way by the priests. So, there was that. They'd be beaten. They had to have a priest wash their genitals.
What?
I mean, you can't expect some 10-year-old to be okay with, being in the shower and there's some priest scrubbing him down there. It's just like, no, you do that yourself. You clean yourself. But that was a whole lineup, a whole group of boys. I mean, I'm not saying this didn't happen to girls too. This happened to girls too. Nuns were also sexual predators.
Wow.
I mean, they had no problem, taking pieces of furniture and violating boys and violating girls. So it's not specific to just priests. There's nuns too. It's just like, this is not how you show God's love.
Well, that's fucking.
It makes absolutely no sense. And when they'd run away and stuff, they'd be beaten and dragged back and put in solitary confinement and, for months at a time and starved, nearing dehydration, and the entire time they had to pray and ask Jesus to forgive them for being born Native American, for being born sinners, for being heathens. And, thank God that you're supposed to thank God that they're there to save us, because if it wasn't for them, we'd all be in hell with our ancestors.
Fucking sick.
Yeah, it's all complete garbage. I mean, it's still going on, but not as bad as it was.
Wow.
I mean, there are a lot of people moving away from the whole Christian thing, and there are people moving away from the traditional thing, and some people are just, agnostics. Like, no, I'm not anything, who cares kind of thing. There are a few Native American atheists, but they're still in the closet.
So would you ever think of creating an atheist Native American or Native people's thing?
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I'm a part of the Facebook group for the Native American atheists, and there's not that many people in there. But, yeah, so, I mean, that's something to grow.
Do you have a Facebook page? Sometimes pages...
Well, it's not my Facebook page specifically. I just came across it, and I'm just like, oh, wow, cool. There's actually, out Native American atheists. So I joined up, and, yeah. So who knows, maybe we can expand and have something here in the city. I mean, it doesn't have to be specifically Native American atheists. I think hanging out with atheists in general would be, a positive thing. And, the more Native Americans, the better. Because then that, they've moved away from, what was forced.
Right.
I mean, nothing was given in love. I mean, they talk about Jesus' love and compassion, but what they showed was the exact opposite. So. And
is that you said you're in a Native American or in a Native people's atheist group? Is it one from America or is it one from Canada?
No, it's from the U.S.
The U.S.
Yeah.
And do they talk about similar experiences to what you were talking about? Or?
Yeah, similar experiences to that, and pointing out that basically white Christians they've done this here, they've done that in other places. It's not just specifically Native Americans they did this to. So, yeah.
So what do they call Native peoples Native Americans in Canada, or what do they?
Well, they call them Native Americans or First Nations.
First Nation.
Or Aboriginal, or they just say Indians.
Oh. What do you usually say?
I just say First Nations because it makes sense, because people are here first.
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying. Plus, it also says that it was organized. You said nations. It sounds like, like sovereign people.
Yep. I mean, that's what it was supposed to be, but now it's, yeah, regulated. And, I have an Indian status card. I had to apply to become a First Nations and get a treaty number and stuff like that. It's like, well, this is what I was born. Why do I have to apply for a card that says my name on it, that says, yes, I'm part of this reservation?
And what does that give you access to in their mind?
Well, before, it was my passport, and I was a dual citizen. But since 2008, I couldn't use my treaty as a passport, and I had to get a Canadian passport. And then their reasoning was 9/11. Oh. It's like, well, we're not the terrorists, remember? It's like we were overtaken by terrorists 500 years ago. But that was beside the point. So, yeah, I had to get a Canadian passport and be under the Queen. And, if I'm ever in a country that doesn't have a Canadian embassy, then by default I have to go to the British embassy.
Huh.
Why? That makes no sense, but yeah. It's just like weird stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So yeah, all that means is I'm registered in Ottawa as a Cree Indian.
So there's just a Native American atheist group on Facebook. Is there a page also, or no?
Yeah, there's a group. There's a page. Yeah, it's not very active. It's not very big, but
How many people is it?
I don't know. I think there's like 50 people.
That's not that big at all.
No, and it's like all over the U.S. too. So, and some parts of Canada too. So it's not just Manitoba, or it's not just anywhere else.
So, what do you think would make it more popular for Native Americans or Native First Nations?
Probably realizing that, yeah, you don't have to identify with the captor. I mean, just because they said this and just because they forced it doesn't mean you have to have it. So, realizing that, yeah, you can think for yourself. I mean, whether you become an atheist or, hell, maybe you want to become a Scientologist. I don't know. I mean, if you do your research, follow the evidence, draw your own conclusions, then great, be whatever. So all the evidence I've gathered, which is there's nothing to gather with many of the religions, this hence led to the atheism conclusion.
Have you ever thought about talking at and trying to convert people or enlighten people at a reservation or something like that?
Well, there's still a lot of fear there. That's like the whole devil thing, and I have to constantly remind them there was no Satan until the Christians brought that here, because that's a Christian concept. I said, nobody else believes in the devil and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, the devil's got a hold of you. I'm like, well, no, there is no devil. But there's just that fear because it's been so ingrained. It's just like, oh, I don't want to risk messing with it just because or just in case, which is why it's just like, oh, it's just Pascal's wager. In case, let's go with it. It's like, well, it's not a way to live a life.
Have you ever thought of writing a blog about that? Your experience of being a Native American or First Nations and an atheist?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot actually, because I was just noticing how much there's still the fear that First Nations still have. So,
because I'm saying is because maybe if you can't do it publicly, maybe you could have a blog or something that they can read and start to investigate for themselves. Especially if you have a particular, understanding of their actual thinking.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I mean, I'd probably be cool to do that. Have a blog and whoever is free to read it, and yeah, they draw their own conclusions and they come to the atheist conclusion, great.
Because then you can do even more of what you're already doing, helping people. Because I do think that if you don't change people's values, and what they believe in, then the rest of their life is run by those values and beliefs.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm like, maybe that would be a good thing, to point out that you don't need to be religious in order to be a good person and have a good life and help people and stuff like that. And it's like you're not doing this for rewards in the afterlife. You're doing this because it's a good thing to do.
Right. Yeah, I know. I always tell people I try not to limit what I could help.
Yeah.
In other words, I try to help whenever I'm available. I try to be available to help, and I just try to help where I can. One of the things that that I did is I went and got my bachelor's in psychology, so I'm able to. I started my master's, but I stopped because I wanted to start writing my atheist book because I saw that as a more important thing than my schooling. But understanding psychology, I'm able to talk and motivate people and inspire people, and so I try to do that as much as possible, as often. And it sounds like your message would get through to people that someone like me maybe wouldn't go through. So I think that all of our voices matter, and we can get, even if you only helped 4 people, helped 1 person, helped 10 people. I mean, it maybe 10 people I could never help. They look at me, I'm a white guy, from the outside, I don't, so I mean, it is important. We all have a voice, that can get to someone. and it's needed, and obviously
to get it out there.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, if the whole United States and Canada, and there's only 50 people, this is needed, because there's a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of Native Americans and First Nation people,
Mm-hmm.
a lot, and for that to be that low is, it needs somebody. So I would inspire you that, I think that you have a voice, and I think that it's obviously needed. And no matter, even if you didn't think you were that good, how bad can it be as composed to what? Nothing? Nothing is happening now, so anything positive would be positive. It's like people say, like, why go help the homeless? You feed them one meal. Yeah, well, that's one meal they don't have to worry about,
Exactly.
It's like the thinking that even only doing a little is not enough. No, doing a little is doing a little.
And if everybody does a little, then
that's right.
More can get done.
And no one knows that I didn't know that it was that bad. So how could I even have helped, even if I wanted to? I didn't know. So and I can't relate like the way in that same way. So I mean, definitely, you could do something that I can't do. And I doubt they would relate to Richard Dawkins or.
So, yeah, no kidding.
I mean, I'm not nothing against Richard Dawkins. I'm just saying that certainly, someone like you would understand and be able to get to them. I really think that all of us, not have an obligation, but have this opportunity to really make a difference now. To me, life matters today. Every moment matters. Yeah. I try to live my life like it actually matters, like it means something. I'm not
planning or thinking or hoping about what can happen after this life. It's like, well, yeah, I guess I got to do stuff now. So yeah, maybe a blog can help.
Yeah, or you could write a book if you like writing. Because I think that it would probably you could market it as a First Nations author who's female and understands the needs of the non-believing First Nations people experience, and it would be something that
help others come out of the closet or accept the fact that they are agnostic even. So
yeah. That's like, I don't think that there's any competition to me for like the books. I think all of our books. I want every atheist to write something. I mean, I hope it inspires everybody to do stuff. It's like I don't think that we should worry about corner market. I think we should worry about human lives. This matters. This is not like you're writing Pulp Fiction. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this, where if it's not good, it doesn't really make a difference, or if it's good, it's human lives. I really see for me that this human life matters. There's no one going to come save us. If we don't do all we can, there's nobody else going to. And like with you, when we know what's going on, we are presented an opportunity that others are not to actually know how to do something about it. I wouldn't even know where to get started to help, the First Nations people. And probably if I did, they would feel like it's just another white person.
Yeah, I was gonna say they'll probably think it's another white person.
Another white person trying to push their own brand of bullshit.
Yeah, probably. But who knows? Maybe I can do something, and something good can come out of it, even if it's just for one person. I mean, that's just one more person who knows that, living this life for now, not about what might be after this life. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that people forget, too, that it's not like a belief in a deity, like you were talking about. For me, a lot of it had to do, too, with self-shame. My whole life, I've been very sexual. And when I was a Christian, I felt like I was going to hell. I thought there was demons on me. And I know, it's funny, right? Seriously, my mom had convinced me that you know, me masturbating or me having sex, I was, you know, filled with demons. I mean, I actually thought that I had demons on me or in me. I mean, one time she had this friend that supposedly, this Christian guy, he wrote a book and stuff, and he said he could see angels and demons. He was going to come over. I was so scared. He was going to see my demons and tell my mom, and I'd be exposed. I know it's funny, right? I know it's hilarious.
No, it's horrible because you were a kid and...
I was a kid, and I was feeling such utter shame. I was like, I don't remember now, 13 or something. I was so scared. I didn't want to, he's here. I didn't want to come out and see him. I just petrified he was going to see my demons. It's just, I know, it's crazy, but, you know, I was raised and very, very devoutly religious, and that's why, to me, I don't agree that the beliefs don't do anything. They do a lot. I felt very innately wrong. Yeah. And I tried not to be sexual. And, you know, it doesn't work for me. I mean, even like to this day, I still almost all women to me are almost sexually available. If they want to, I would probably do it. For almost, I really like sex. And but what
Hillary Clinton would be fair game.
What's it now?
I said, so Hillary Clinton would be fair game.
Oh yeah. To me, yeah. So to me, I tell people, you know, and so I've had people that not like it, but to me, if someone is at 18, they're adult, I would think about doing stuff. I don't go after that age. I usually like 30 to 40 something or 30 to 50. But I mean, if someone was 70 years old and didn't look too bad, and she was a female and she wanted to have sex, I probably would. I mean, it's just, I really like sex. I don't see it as bad. And I used to feel so bad about this, like so innately wrong that I you know.
And they were good at shaming. That's for sure. Because I know the experiences of the Indian residential schools. Yeah, some boys were caught masturbating. Some of them were tied. Like their hands and feet were tied to the bed, so they'd stop masturbating. And then once they were released, they'd be caught masturbating again. So they would have their foreskins cut off by the priests to stop the masturbation. Wow. You know, stuff like that. So it's just like, yeah, they're really good at shaming. So it's just doing that to a kid and shaming a child and mutilating their genitals because you're trying to put an end to something that is, you know, human.
Yeah, I'm against spanking. I'm against circumcision for boys and girls. You don't have the right to cut on someone's body.
I mean, if I had a son and he's asked why he's not circumcised, I'd be like, when you're 18, go ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a newborn, without your consent and making you scream like that, no way. There's just no way.
No, I agree. I think it's wrong. The parent doesn't have that right to the.
No, it's barbaric, is what it is.
Yeah. So we definitely think alike there. So I know that you're relatively sex positive too. Do you want to tell us something about how that's been for you?
Well, with the atheist community, it's not even a huge deal at all being a bisexual or a pansexual or anything like that. This is never an issue. The bisexual, yeah, none of that was a problem in the Native American community either. It's just the white Christian community just had a problem with being the bisexual, you know, that I'm just confused or I'm just greedy, or it's because when you were raped as a child and you were sexually abused by men. It's just like, well, it was women too, so you can't just say it was one and that's why I prefer this, or it was this and that's why I prefer that. No. You know, by that logic, I'd be asexual. But yeah, even as a Christian, I was an out bisexual, and it wasn't too much shaming as I got older, just when I was younger. And, you know, it's like, oh, you better watch out, and this is what you deserve because, you know, now a woman can rape you because you like women too. And it's just like, what? It's like, where is this coming from?
So, have you had sexual partners with people that are atheists, or is it?
No, actually, like my current one. Well, I have two. My current one, he's an agnostic. I'm pretty sure his mom or his dad was raised Catholic. Mm-hmm. And my other gentleman friend is traditional Dakota. I mean, I'm not sure if he eventually wants to become a medicine man or not. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
Right.
But yeah, it's not a huge deal at all.
So, what's their opinion? Do they know that you're with both of them?
Oh yeah, it's an open thing. I'm just like, I'm not interested in the whole Walt Disney thing. I'm not waiting for someone to come and rescue me from my life. They know that I have interest in women, and I have the, I have fun with women too. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not about me being with a woman and one or the other gets to watch, and it's all about them. It's just like, well, no. It's like, you do your thing, I do my thing. I have my life, and we just get together every so often. Awesome.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, I think that it's stupid when people get hung up. I have had people unfriend me for being poly and being an open marriage. So I wonder, do they see you as for not being married? Do you think they think if it's okay because you're just dating, or do you think that?
Yeah, the two gentlemen friends I have, they don't think it's a huge deal because they're not able to invest in any of that kind of Walt Disney bullshit anyways. So, I mean, the one guy just said it's a relief that I'm not, trying to be wifey and stuff like that. And it's like, no, I have no interest in that. I just want to have fun and send you home.
Yeah. I'm all for that.
Yeah. And if they don't drive, I can drop them off. But yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. I was wondering too. So is it? You said you only do one thing at a time, or have you been with other people, like multiple people, or?
Oh yeah, I've been with multiple people. I had a couple of roommates, and we'd bring guys home. Like my coworkers or her coworkers. Married couples. Hetero. Because the wife wants a girlfriend for the husband, or the husband wants a girlfriend for his wife. And, we get together, and then the husband has a boyfriend, so we're all getting together and having fun, and,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I was doing that even before I was an atheist, too, so.
Yeah, I a couple times did that stuff before I was an atheist, but I felt more shame. Like I said, obviously you didn't sound like you had picked up that shame bug. Like
no, I got over the shame, and I'm not sure if that was attributed to like the child rape and stuff like that. I'm just like, because the Christians were very, this is it's your fault when somebody rapes you and stuff like that, and if you act a certain way, and I'm like, well, a 3-year-old deserves to be raped. She's like, well, if you act that way, you do deserve to be raped at 3. It's like, what? So I just let go of that shame early on. So it's like, why? What? And I just said, well, why would God make us sexual beings when we're supposed to be dead from the neck down? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So I got over that shame pretty quickly. It's just like, well, yeah, that's pretty stupid.
Yeah. And I've also had a lot of people give me a lot of shit too about age. They say have this, even atheists. No, they have this opinion. It has to be within like, I guess 5 to 10 years of your age, or somehow it's like sick and wrong. Like, yeah, where is this like?
Yeah, where's the rule book? I mean, there's some kind of booklet I missed reading or something, because I don't think it matters. I mean, if it's consenting adults.
So are you? Because I seem to take a lot of shit for that stuff. I know I have a lot of friends, so and my whole page is open to the world. So I know that if I have like 5,000 friends on Facebook, so I think I probably have more people than some people have.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Where I get people saying stuff to me. I might sometimes know who they are, but sometimes I don't know who they are. Sometimes they're not even my friends. They're friends of friends.
They're just friends of friends.
Yeah, it's talking shit or saying stuff. So I know it's not like I can always say it's atheism doing that. I sometimes don't know what someone believes, but I do know that some have been. One guy, he was an atheist, and he was like raging at me that I would say that it's okay to have sex with an 18-year-old. He's like, you're a pedophile. I'm like, what the how is a pedophile is having sex with a minor?
Yeah, exactly. That's not acceptable.
What are you talking about, Yeah.
I mean, yeah, a 35-year-old priest fucking a 9-year-old kid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's pedophile.
pedophile. Hell yeah. But I'm just
I
saying.
mean,
So,
that's not consensual.
are you out about sex stuff on your Facebook profile, or do you not
Oh
really?
yeah, on my Facebook and at work and stuff, they always laugh, because I'm always joking. They're like, "Oh, of course, Winter," or "Yeah, Winter would say that." Or the manager said something the other day. Somebody said, "Oh, hurry, stick it in," because we have to put something in the bag. And then the manager says, "That's what she said," and I started laughing. And she's like, "That's what Winter would usually say. That's why I said it." So it's not usually a huge deal. Just we all laugh about it, and
Do
yeah,
you, do
people
you
say,
ever worry about sexual harassment because of that?
um. No, because it's usually people I know very well, and they're not like, "Oh, how dare you say that," and stuff like that.
Do you ever have sexual harassment at all, like on Facebook? Like I know some women have like people saying, derogatory.
Yeah, on Facebook and stuff like that. It's just like, oh wow, really get a life. But
They say stuff in private or on your.
in private or on the wall and stuff like that. And
Because I know I
you
would
like
say
the whole,
that. So I guess that's the one thing where I'm lucky because I'm a guy, and guys, I can say stuff and I don't get private messages. No one's sending me nude dick pics or vaginas or anything. One time, one chick sent me naked, but I mean, for all the time, as much stuff as I say, never happens. It's not like a female.
yeah, I'm not too worried about it because it's Facebook. Because it's like, okay, well, your Facebook balls don't actually matter in real life because you don't actually have balls in real life. So yeah, I'm old enough and big enough to protect myself. I mean, the last attempts at rape, they weren't able to. I mean, I didn't overpower them, but I was able to, keep it from happening until, somebody interrupted and stuff like that. So, yeah.
So what has been said on Facebook? What have people done or tried to say?
Just like, being a horrible sinner and, deserve rape and deserve punishment. And this is like, what is this garbage?
They say you deserve rape. That's looking terrible.
Yeah, deserve, punishment and stuff like that. And saying that, the Bible okays it because this is supposed to help you and it's corrective and stuff like that.
What?
And then I point out that the Satanic Bible says not to approach a woman sexually unless it's reciprocated, where the Bible and the Quran say other things. So I
Right.
like to point that stuff out to them.
Yeah, I usually what I do to make sure that I don't really have problems is I assume that no one wants to have sex with me. That way I don't overstep the line because I would have sex with most. So if I don't watch myself, I can be inappropriate. So my rule is just act like nothing's going on with anyone. That way I don't have to worry about getting in trouble or having problems.
Hmm.
So, I'm not the best judge at when I'm stepping over the line. So I try to err on the complete extreme side of caution.
That's true. I mean, I
That's one
could
thing.
probably get away with it better than you would
Yeah, I
when
think
it comes
women
to
in
sexual
general.
harassment.
Yeah, I say something. Well, it's like if you showed 10 guys your vagina, or I showed 10 women my dick. Who do you think would be banned on Facebook?
Yeah, exactly. There's a bit of that double standard there, but yeah.
Yeah, it's completely. But I mean, I don't know about all guys, but I know most guys, and certainly me. You show me 10 pictures of a naked woman, I want to see all 10.
Yeah,
Most,
you're not going to be reporting and crying about how you're
no.
violated.
But so I don't. I think yes, it's a double standard in a sense. In a sense, it's not because you know men want to see it as opposed to
Yeah, exactly. So,
so you know women can go ahead and feel like they can send me stuff that's just fine with me.
feel free to send the JJ pics.
Yeah, they never will, but it's a nice thought in a perfect world.
Well, maybe when you get to heaven.
Maybe what now?
Maybe when you get to heaven.
Oh yeah, into white heaven you mean? Come on now.
Yeah.
Where the blacks are servants and the Native Americans have to build things.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, white heaven. Isn't it crazy that people actually thought that? That's just it. It's unbelievable. I do think that a lot of the racism and sexism definitely has to do with certainly the Christian religion, definitely. Very obvious.
Once you take that, well, any religion, once you take religion out of the equation, then, there's not going to be any need or any room for the bigotry and the whole, yeah.
Yeah. So, what is your opinion about? Have you gone to any atheist meetups or something, or have you thought of starting one?
Yeah, I'm thinking of starting one because I tried looking for some in the city of Winnipeg. There's one that meets like every 2 months, but with the work and my university education schedule, it doesn't always work out. So maybe if I can come up with something myself and just, try and organize it with a few others who probably have similar schedules to me, then, that'd be great. But yeah, now I do think about doing that whole blog thing now.
You should.
Positive step.
You do it. I guarantee I'll share it. I got a lot of friends.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I totally support, you write a book, I'll share that too. I'm totally for, especially I think it's important, if the community's not being reached, then, we need to do some outreach. I'm all about outreach. I've stood on the street corners and held signs. I mean, you seen any of my stuff?
Yeah, I have seen some of your stuff. Because, I thought it would be funny to hold up signs myself where I want to say, the power of Neil deGrasse Tyson compels you, and repent to Stephen Hawking now, and, Richard Dawkins loves you. I don't know, stuff like that. So
you should do that.
Maybe.
It helps so people know who they are.
Yeah. I mean, people know who they are, then that's great.
It could be an inside joke for people that do know who you are.
Well, yeah, that's true too. I mean, who knows? I mean, or someone could be like, what is she talking about? Who is, Richard Dawkins? And if they look into it,
true.
Maybe that's a step in the right direction for them.
True. Yeah, I definitely feel like there's a need to, from what you said, a real need to, help the, Native peoples, get the word, to them. I mean, I think it's sad that it's so small. Is there any of them that would want to help you?
Yeah, probably. I mean, my one friend in Kentucky, he probably be cool with that.
Maybe what you could do too is you could make a blog and have a couple contributors where you talk about different things.
Yeah, because I know I don't know too much about the U.S. treaties, but I know like the whole treaty things is different between Canada and the U.S. So maybe he can talk about like the U.S. side of things and.
Yeah, that would be really awesome.
Yeah, and then I can talk about the Canadian side of things and.
Yeah. I think it'd be great for even for atheists to learn more stuff. I mean, I think that the more that we learn, the more we can really be better people, better humanists and when we understand. I mean, you can't care about something you don't even know is going on.
That's true. Yeah, how can you? But yeah, get the word out there and.
Yeah. Winter, make a difference. Make a storm.
That's a good. Write that down. That'll probably be my blog name.
I'm gonna make a storm.
Making a storm.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that I think it's hard sometimes because I think society tells us our voice doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do anything, and especially if there's not other people backing us. I started my Heart group all by myself.
Mm-hmm.
No one wanted to help me, and I just started it. My Facebook group for Heart has almost 700 people, and I started Axiological Atheist. People fought me, told me don't use that. It's wrong. I don't understand it. It's too long. It's too confusing. And this and that, and don't do this. Fought me a lot in the real world and online, a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm almost at 4,000 people in my Facebook, Axiological Atheist page. So I don't know. Obviously, they're wrong.
Yeah, like
one person can make a difference.
Yeah. One person can make a difference.
So yeah, I think it's hard, you know, to do it, but it's knowing that we matter. You matter. That you know that you're valuable. Your message is unique and needed. It's not just that you want to do it. It is needed.
I agree.
And like I said, I want to do that too. I want to inspire other people. I want to show them that, you know, that, like, because I know some of the people I've talked to, they're like, well, I don't know what to say. Then say that. Say you don't know. It's like we have this problem where we think we need to know everything. We need to be perfect at everything, or we don't even try.
It's like it doesn't have to be profound or anything.
Yeah, right. Sometimes, I mean, because you think that, you know, to inspire someone has to be profound. I don't know, just showing that we can do it no matter what, that's pretty profound all by itself.
Yeah, pretty good.
See? And change is already happening.
Yes. Yeah, because my cousin told me recently that he's an atheist, but he hasn't, you know, been out with the rest of the family or anything, so who knows?
Well, and you can get him involved and you can ask for his help. It's funny how people won't do stuff sometimes, but if you ask for help, it's amazing how much things can change.
Cool.
I mean, you didn't think about doing an interview until I asked you, right?
Never occurred to me.
Right.
That's why I'm all like, what? I'm like, oh, okay, I guess. I was a bit confuzzled, but I'm like, sure.
So far, how's been the feeling for you? How was it like to have somebody care about your story?
I don't know. It's good to get it out there. Because, yeah, like my perspective is not going to be the same as yours, and yours is not going to be the same as mine, and anything like that. So, you know, getting all different kinds of perspectives out there is a positive thing. You know, because, you know, I look at, I'm on the Black Atheist page too, and I would just love the Native American page to have that many numbers as they have and stuff like that. So.
Well, one of the things right, and one of the things I was trying to say is that I didn't know there was a Native people's, you know, atheist page. Everyone knows there's a black page, even if they're not black. Yep. Even if they're African American, they know. Yep. And so I know there's a Filipino page.
Yeah.
So,
you know, and there's even a page for, you know, ex-Muslims and stuff like that.
Right, exactly. So I mean, ex-Buddhists. I mean, there's different, you know, ex-Wiccans. I mean, there's a lot of different pages, and the best thing to do is if there isn't one, start it. Start one. Because it's amazing when you start it and you share it. And if you need help, I'm willing to help you, because I'm good at art and stuff. I can come up with, like, you know, ever seen the thing that has like the chief with the fingers? Ever seen that?
Yep.
We could probably make a symbol like that with an atheist on it.
The AIM symbol, the American Indian Movement, and then incorporate atheism, because I am part of the American Indian Movement.
Right. See, wouldn't that be good to do that plus the atheist?
Yeah, to have that as well, because, you know, I can have one side of my sweater, you know, talking about AIM, and then the other side talking about the other A, which is atheism.
Right.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
And it would also help to inform people, which is, to me, is always a good thing. So I don't think that you have to limit your page to just people that are.
Yeah, exactly. It could be anybody.
Right. And it helps too, because I mean, you can only get to so many people. But I may come in contact with someone who is, you know, a Native people or a First Nations, and I have the opportunity to say something, but if I don't even know what I'm talking about, I really can't help them.
Yeah, and I don't know if it would have the same impact, but, you know, once you know, then, you know, I think things would get across better.
So what would you say if you were going to tell me I need to talk to this friend of mine who you know, was thinking about atheism but doesn't know, And what would I say?
Like a Native American person, or just
Yeah,
anyone?
well, no, a Chinese, a person, no.
Whichever.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about. Well, I wanted to know your specific, expertise.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah, pointing out that, this hasn't existed here until a few hundred years ago, and, this is what it was like before. You could either be traditional or nothing. I mean, you weren't forced to be one or the other, and how, anyone can choose until the colonizers got here. Then there was no choice, not even for their own families either. So I don't know, I guess like pointing out stuff like that is a good thing. And, yeah, and my favorite is the Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that avenue.
So explain that so people that don't know.
Well, with the whole Stockholm syndrome, I say that, you don't have to identify with a captor. I mean, that's their religion that they brought over here, that was forced on them, clearly, because they came and forced it and beat it into everyone else here. But now that we're not in the schools anymore and people are going back to the old ways, you don't have to accept what they say, even though, they scare them into thinking, if you don't, this is, you're going to be tortured and you're going to belong to the devil and all this crazy shit. Yeah. Just a bunch of different things. Could be that. And a lot of it is the fear, and it is the Pascal's wager. So, I mean, it's just like you could say, well, you're not just saying this and doing this because this is what the school and the church forced upon you, is it? Or, are you just doing that just in case they are right? I mean, that can be applied to any religion. Let's do this just in case they're the ones that are right. So it's like, well, by that logic, then let's all, follow the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, which sounds more plausible than anything else. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's some good advice, definitely. Yeah, I know that the Pascal's wager to me doesn't make sense unless you only accept there's one religion.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that sounds even somewhat rational is if there's only one religion to, judge against no religion.
Exactly.
If you judge it in reality with the, 30,000 or whatever, or, whatever how many, or even just the 10 major religions, or ways to possibly believe, how do you do that as opposed to no belief? I mean, at that point, it would be better to not do something that makes a deity mad by practicing the wrong religion.
Exactly. That's what Homer Simpson said. He's like, what if we chosen the wrong one? We're just making God madder and madder.
Yeah.
I'm like, there you go. Homer Simpson with an IQ of 55 knows this.
IQ of 55. That's funny. Wouldn't he not be able to have to wear a helmet? Not be able to.
He'd probably have to wear a helmet, because I remember, when he got his IQ raised 50 points, and he says, I have an 105 IQ. I'm like, well, if it was raised 50 points, then you only have an IQ of 55 when you have those crayons up your nose. So I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I think he's stupid, but I don't think he's that stupid.
Yeah.
But I don't think that, that IQ means everything, because I know some people that have an IQ or seem to have, high intelligence are still acting very, very stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's like, I believed in religion until I went to college and learned things, and I don't really see, I know that it's wrong to think that everyone that goes to college learns things and then no longer believes in religion, but it's hard for me to see how that can be. How, when you learn truth and, like you said, logic, when you can learn to critically think and logic, how does this stuff still seem so,
Yeah, I guess it's like the whole fear and the whole driving that after this life, this is what's going to happen to you forever. Even though life is just a blink. So.
Yeah, because like philosophers, professional philosophers, they did a study of all of the United States, of the ones that are like, doctorates and teachers and stuff. And over 1,000 people were studied. Anyways, only 14, I think it's 0.6% are believe in God. So most are atheist
Yeah.
or agnostic or something. They don't believe in God. So it's
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't see. Well, maybe it's still that one little part that they can't let go. So.
yeah. So what do you think that? So you think it's mainly the Pascal's wager, just the fact that they're so indoctrinated, or like you said,
So indoctrinated and fear has been driven and stuff like that. Hang on to that one small straw just in case. It's like, well, yeah, it's like Homer says, what if this is the wrong one? I'm like, I mean, for all we know, I mean, it could be, I don't know, something obscure. I mean, the Church of Betty White.
yeah.
It's all the same relevance to me.
So what do you think would happen if you started an atheist thing at a reservation? Would the people at the reservation have a problem with that, or is it just
well, the ones that are super Christianized would. A lot probably wouldn't even care. And hopefully the ones that are in the closet would come out of the closet.
But would it be illegal or something, or I don't know.
No, it wouldn't be illegal. No. I mean, I guess.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, they're like, the jurisdiction of the church and the cops and stuff. It's like, no, it wouldn't be illegal. It would just be like, oh, why are you doing that? And I'd just be like, well, why not?
I think that would be cool as hell. You should do it, or hold up atheist signs at a reservation and take pictures. I think that would be fucking cool as hell.
Yeah, well, maybe I will wear my scarlet A for atheism and take pictures of me on the res or something. But
yeah,
I mean, maybe the kids would be like, "Hey, what the hell?" But yeah, for the most part, it'd probably be like the holy rollers that are elderly that were in the schools. They would be the ones that are really still fearful. So.
Right. That's sad.
It is sad.
So do you think that maybe in the future it'll become better when the generations haven't been in schools?
Yes, and I mean I can still see the effects of the schools, like even with my generation and stuff like that. But like, if I do decide to have kids, there's not going to be any kind of, religion or anything like that. I mean, they can ask questions. I mean, doesn't mean I'll have the answer, but they can ask me anything. Like, well, this is what some people think, therefore they make this law or something, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, hopefully it won't take too many generations for it to be stopped, wiped out.
Well, that's good. At least it's positive, right?
Yeah.
Better than going the other way. I think that in general, it's important to have the internet to get information. Do a lot of people on the reservation use the internet, or is
yeah, there's internet usage and stuff like that. I mean, not just at the schools. I mean, in personal homes and stuff like that. It's just in your house. It's not just you. It's probably you and 15 other people or something.
Oh, so a lot of people live in
one house. A lot of people live in the house. Like when I lived with my auntie, and she had her 6 children. Her oldest son had his 4 children. And for a while there, when my dad was in the doghouse, him and my youngest brother were staying with us. So we're all just crammed into one house. But I worked 2 jobs, so I just went home to shower and sleep. So
is that real common?
It's really common.
Really common?
Like even in the city of Winnipeg, they say like the area of the North End and Point Douglas, it's like really ghetto, so they call it like the reserve of the city. Yeah, and like overcrowding's an issue there too.
That's too bad. It was probably better when it's so cold outside, right?
Yeah, I mean, -51's not really fun, but
-51 is terrible. What are you talking about?
Yeah, last year. So that's like -59 Fahrenheit. So yeah.
Oh, it's different.
And then that's when they had said that the temperature on Mars was warmer than Winnipeg, and I'm like, what? Because I remember a couple of years before they're saying that the Antarctica was warmer than Winnipeg, because we were minus 47, but they were only minus 40, and I'm just like, oh, good grief.
That's wild.
Yeah, we're pretty hardy folk here.
Wow. Have you ever lived anywhere else, or just in Winnipeg?
No, I've lived in a town called Thompson. It's about 45 minutes from my res. I mean, that's the city where I was born, because there's no hospital on my res. Yeah, here, Winnipeg, Brandon, Manitoba. Yeah, it's just mostly, I've been Manitoban my whole life.
Wow.
But it would be cool to go somewhere else. But hey, once I get my nursing degree, it's a free for all. Especially in the far north. So
you're going to go then when you get your nursing degree?
So I'm going to get my nursing degree. Hopefully I can start this fall at the University of Manitoba. And then they have this, Manitoba government has something where they can forgive up to $40,000 of your student loans by doing a stint up north. And since I'm from up north and I know how to live up north, it wouldn't be a huge deal. So,
what does that mean as an American? I don't really understand. What does it mean up north? What does that mean?
Up north, anything past the 55th parallel. So like Winnipeg is like the 49th parallel. So like when you go up north, it means it's very isolated. It's very cold.
Oh.
The sky is really close, and that's really awesome.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, the town that my sister lives in Leaf Rapids, there's 6 weeks in this summer. There'll be no snow, and then that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I had 40% of my school loans taken off, shit, I'd go there.
40,000.
I know, so yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So that's what. So even if you went to school in another province, the province of Manitoba has something where you can do, loan forgiveness for doing stints outside of, the major city.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I would do that. How long do you have to do it for?
I think they want to do at least a year, but they'll do a maximum of 5. Maximum of 5 years. So
the year takes off the same as 5 years, or
no? A year would take off maybe 8,000.
Oh.
Yeah. And if you have good grades and everything, you'll get that taken off even without that, northern remoteness allowance or anything like that. Because for my pharmacy technician, I got over 10,000 of my loans forgiven based on my grades. So all I basically paid back was my living and my books.
That's cool as hell.
Yeah, so the Manitoba government did that. So even if I, got my degree in, Quebec or something, and, came here, based on my grades, they apply it to the Canadian student loan as opposed to just, the provincial student loan.
Right.
So, yeah. So and then at tax time, for my tuition, I just shelled out $3,000 on my credit card, and the government implemented where you get 60% of your tuition rebated. So besides getting 60% of the money back from the Canadian government, whatever scholarships and grants, might even out, and hopefully I won't be too much in debt, but
yeah,
it's reality.
That's cool. Just so, do you get any help assistance from being the First Nations, or does that not?
That's the assumption, and a lot of people still have that, even First Nations. People assume with the treaties that means we can go to university for free. I mean, yeah, I wish it was simple as, I went to the University of Winnipeg. Here's my treaty card. I'm signing up for this class. Send the bill to the Queen. No, it doesn't work that way. But there are people that do get scholarships, bursaries, grants. Some rich benefactor paid for somebody's tuition. The city last year had 10 students that were in foster care, and they're attending University of Winnipeg free of tuition.
Yeah.
When 30 years ago your tuition was paid by Child and Family Services, and I'm just like, well, I wish I had known that when I was younger, because then I could have had my university at least half covered. But yeah, I didn't find out till I was 19 that they could have helped foster kids. So yeah.
Well, that sucks. I have personally no problem with and Native Americans getting free college. I think that would be whatever.
Yeah, because like my prescriptions and stuff like that, that's covered. My glasses, like so every 2 years I'm eligible for a new pair of glasses, dental. And my coworker, she's from the Philippines, and she's saying, "Oh, you get your prescriptions covered and stuff like that." And she's like, "Oh, wow, that's privileged." I'm like, "Well, no, not really. I mean, you got to think about it. It's the mortgage payments for the stolen land, so it's not really a privilege."
Right, that's what I'm saying too.
Yeah, I mean, there's people on welfare that don't pay, and they're not, Native American or anything like that. So that's why I said just think of it as mortgage payments for the stolen land. And if you want the least, like the treaties to expire or phase out, then that means everybody who's not treaty has to leave. And how's that going to work? So I was just like, well, you can't end the lease because that part's inconvenient for you, but you still want to stay here. So I said, no, it's still the mortgage payments for the stolen continent.
Yeah, it's like in America, did you hear about, that they're going to allow Native Americans to grow marijuana? It's like,
yeah, I heard that.
Oh, thank you for allowing us to do our own.
Thank you for letting me use my land to, whatever.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. That to me, if it's their land, it's their land.
Exactly.
It's not really that hard of a concept.
No, that's why I don't understand the whole taxation of the casinos and stuff like that. Okay, well, this is all of our land, but especially the designated reservation land shouldn't have, no one who isn't, from that tribe should have a say in it.
I totally agree.
Yeah. If someone from that tribe disagrees and says, no, that's great, but they're from that tribe, they get a say in it. Nobody else.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not from that tribe that lives in wherever, Irvine, California. I mean, so I shouldn't have any say in what, they decide and vice versa.
Right. Yeah, I know that the California voted on, taxing the reservations, and it passed. And how? I mean, that just doesn't.
Yeah.
Here's your land. Oh, you're making money. Oh no, you can't do that.
No, you gotta bring some of that back. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And I don't know if it's applicable or how much is applicable in the States. Our treaties protect the land and the water, so that whole oil, hopefully that stays out, because you can't poison the land, kill it, and then expect to live happily ever after when there's no planet to live on.
Yeah.
No matter how much money you make.
Oh, you're talking about fracking? The fracking up there in Canada?
Fracking. Yeah, it's just like the treaties protect water, and it's just like, well, hopefully this bunch of water is applicable to the treaty, because the ones that aren't are the ones that are poisoned. Those are the ones with the fish with the 3 eyes, from The Simpsons. That's real. There was a fish with a third eye. There were fish with tumors and, deer, and it's just like, if you want to phase out all these treaties and, screw up the land and then try and go back home. I mean, you're just going to do that there, and then the whole planet's going to get destroyed, so it doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
So is there anything that the atheist community could do to make it more open to the First Nations people or Native Americans?
I think with any group, just knowing that someone is there is good. I mean, I guess pointing out positive things and stuff like that, and not saying we're just wards of the Canadian government and we're supposed to be thankful and lucky that we're still here. Just doing positive stuff, and I guess that applies for First Nations as well. Affirming the good things. They can say, well, the atheists do charity work without expecting any reward in the afterlife, and then the atheists can say, well, Native Americans believe that anyone and everyone should have shelter and food. I mean, that's what happened in the first place. People needed food and shelter and didn't know how to live here, and then they were taken care of, and then this is what happens.
Yeah.
It's so even though people were being charitable and got stabbed in the back, they didn't, drive them out or trying to exterminate like they did. So.
Right. Yeah. I know there's that saying that I've heard in America that there's not one treaty that America didn't break, and there's not one treaty that the Native Americans didn't keep. And
yeah.
Even like I know the whole thing about the ghost dance, or whatever. I think that's called, right? I think it was the ghost dance, and the fact that the Native Americans were hoping for freedom. They just the white man thought they wanted to take theirs.
Yeah. Like, no, it was very much, leave everyone be, but then that all went to shit.
Yeah, fear is not a good thing. It doesn't wear well on people. I always say that that things that we don't understand, we come to fear, and that which we fear we learn to hate, and that we hate we seek to destroy. So the object is that things that we don't understand, that we strive to not fear but to understand them.
So yeah, getting to know it.
Yeah.
The good stuff.
Right, and that's why, like I said, I wanted to especially have different kinds of atheists so people can understand, either relate or understand a perspective that they don't have or don't know. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us.
Thanks for having me.
And any other questions you have for me, or anything else that you wanted to say to the world?
No, I can't think of anything right now.
All right.
Who knows? Maybe when I make my blog, I'll link you to it and say this is what I thought of, and yeah. Yeah,
well, that's fine, definitely. And if you need any help to make atheist, native people's page, I'm more than willing to help you. I think it's a good goal. So.
Awesome.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah.